Chaos.
Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. Look, lately I've been doing a few sort of lesser known vocalists and things like that. Or at least to me, like ones that I hadn't really heard of, but apparently have huge followings and stuff. One of those being Angelina Jordan. That was a real surprise to me, actually. I did it on a recommendation of a few people. Turns out, you know, that video blew up because she has this huge user base, most of whom can't believe that I've, you know, gotten to this point in my life without ever hearing about her before. And, you know, that's been part and parcel with this whole journey. I started this channel looking into like extreme metal vocals and things to try and find some gems in amongst music that I was typically prejudiced against, as far as I was never super into, you know, extreme screaming or growling vocals. And I wanted to expose myself more to that culture and that style of singing particularly. I'm now very interested in that. But along the way, I've sort of taken many tangents. And, you know, when I started out, I was wondering how long I could maintain that concept of hearing things I'd never heard before. Being that, I've been around music my whole life. And so to get to the point of not ever hearing of Angelina Jordan seems strange to some people. And it's equally as strange to me, like how I'm discovering these new incredibly talented and I suppose underrated artists. That's been super exciting for me. That's something that I live for. In fact, when I started this channel, I was kind of at the point in my life where I was a bit over music in general. You know, like I felt like I'd heard everything. Nothing was really surprising me anymore, which is why I made that snap decision to actively look into genres that maybe I hadn't given a good enough chance, you know. So with all that being said, I had a couple of people recommending this from my Angelina Jordan video, and I thought, look, I know Creep, obviously Radiohead. Anyone who was around in the 90s knows Radiohead, and that was a particularly big single for a band that's not really a mainstream pop act, you know. So everybody knows the song Creep. I'm assuming Postmodern Jukebox are, well, from what I've read, I just Googled them, and in their little Google blurb thing, it says that they're essentially like a revolving door band of different swing jazz musicians that sort of reinterpret popular songs into like jazz standard style and things like that, which, you know, I'm here for it as long as it's authentic and realistic. I love stuff like that. I love it when they take something that's very typical and modern and interpret it in a way that sort of pays homage to the original style. And if you do it effectively, that's always to me a really good time. I'm not familiar with Haley Reinhart, but people are telling me she may be the best vocalist currently. So, well, that remains to be seen. And essentially that's why I'm here. So without any further ado, let's jump straight in. I'm real excited for this one. Creep, Postmodern Jukebox. Here we go.
When you were here before,
Oof, already nice.
couldn't look you in the eye. You're just like an angel. Your skin makes me cry. You float like a feather.
Oh, such a nice balance between
in a
breath
beautiful
and tone.
world. I wish I was special. You're so very special. But I'm a creep.
Ugh. Come on. That, what the feel,
What
right?
the hell am I doing?
Oh, the grit.
I don't belong here. I don't care if it hurts. I wanna have control.
Oh, this is great.
I want the perfect body. Want a perfect soul. And I want you to notice when I'm not around. You're so very special. Yeah, I wish I was special. But I'm a creep.
Come on.
What the hell am I doing here?
feels really dry. It's crazy. Oh, come on. Ugh.
Whatever makes you happy, whatever you want, you're so very special. Yeah, I wish I was special, but I'm a creep.
Listen to those dynamics, right? Wow.
I said it, I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong. I'm a creep.
Come on. Wow.
What the hell am I doing I don't belong here. I don't belong here.
Wow. That may be my new favorite thing ever. I got a lot to talk about. Stick around after the break and I'll fill you in. Hey guys, this video is made possible by Enchroma. 1 in 6 guys and 1 in 200 women are colorblind, and if that happens to be you, there's something you can do about it. Click the link in the description, it'll take you to Enchroma's website where you can get a free eye test. And while you're there, maybe pick up some corrective lenses. They've got styles to suit everybody and a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you got really nothing to lose. And while you're there, use the code CHAOS in checkout to get 10% off. Tell them Primal Chaos sent you. That was stunning. How has this passed me by? I was saying at the start, I don't know how I've missed so many of these things. You know, I always have people sending me stuff on the internet. Where were you guys on this one? Oh man, I got a lot to talk about. First of all, the arrangement's stunning. It's beautiful. It is very authentic. And you know what? Placing Hayley in amongst this, particularly in this style of like setup, I'm fairly certain this is the recording of the live performance. I'm certain. I don't think she could have been miming to that. Just too many little idiosyncratic movements and stuff like that. But all that being said, just the arrangement was beautiful. Let's talk about the band. I'm assuming who is it? There's a specific guy, Scott Bradley. I'm assuming he's the piano player. Excuse me if I'm wrong. I've obviously just comes purely from ignorance, but you know, it's a beautiful arrangement. Note perfect, obviously, performance from everyone, but the band are just so adept at just the dynamics this song requires, right? Or this arrangement requires. You know, having those brass instruments coming in with such, you know, breathiness and self-control and like dynamically volume-wise just being the instrumentalists, the brass section is just so good at being comfortable at low volume, right? And that takes so much breath control and so much, you know, and not only that, they're working in unison together. It's like they're feeling each other out to know exactly where to push. It's beautiful. The bass playing, obviously, I mean, what's a swing band without a bass player that is killing it, you know? But I love the way that they've set up this sort of tableau, right? Where you've got the band behind her and she's eyeballing you in the camera, it feels like you're sitting in a club. You know that feeling when you're somewhere watching a show or whatever, and you can't help but feel that the performer is looking at you. They're just looking into the crowd. They may be looking at you, but there's that feeling that like they're singing this to me. That's what this evokes, this whole scenario. And I felt like she was performing exclusively for me, and that's so engaging. It just feels so so authentic and truthful. You know, it's something about it, right? And her performance was so beautifully subdued, dripping in cabaret drama, but without being over the top dramatic. You know, she has all of the beautiful vocal inflections you'd expect from somebody performing some, you know, like sort of like classic swing, smoky nightclub kind of jazz. And that beautiful break she has where she sort of snaps over, and it's almost like a little bit of a yodel into like a breathiness, you know. It just, there's so much passion there that you can hear just coming through the voice. And I love the way she moves. The way she moves embodies that sensation of what, you know, it embodies the what's the word I'm looking for? Aesthetically, it just feels the same as what's coming out of her mouth, right? She matches the energy, you know, and there's a laziness to it, which is really interesting as well. You can hear the way, you know, her enunciation is hampered a little bit by the laziness of her jaw, which is a little bit less likely to move, you know. And that's just that sort of like Betty Boop kind of chic, if you know what I mean, you know, like boop boop be doop. It's cute and sort of, it's a little bit like wow, motorbike. Okay. It's a little bit sort of that sort of a little bit sleepy kind of sexiness, you know, that's just ideal in this scenario. Like it just works perfectly. Her intonation is absolutely beautiful as well. You know, I'm just trying to remember, because I didn't want to stop during the performance. A lot of times I'll stop and sort of talk about things I'm seeing, but I might need to just jump back through a little bit. And you know, sometimes you can sense that she's performing for herself as well. Like, that's the beauty of it. It's give and take. Like, this part seems very much like introspective. Like, it's what the hell am I doing here? And, you know, she's singing within the bubble of herself. And then occasionally she'll just change focus to you, you know, and just hand over the energy to you as the viewer as well. It's brilliant. Oh, the breathiness. Hear that? Oh, the other thing, there's a certain amount of reverb on there, but it's subtle, right? They could have this swimming in reverb and just have that sort of smoky sort of feel, but they really have like this realistic nightclub environment sound. You know, I don't think that they've done much post-production. I think that they've just set up the room in such a way that it just works. There's no baffling or anything between them. They wanted that live sound on the recording. The other thing too is her use of vocal compression is absolutely stunning. Like the way that she'll sort of like pull a note up into like almost like the back of her palate, like nasally, and just sort of, it just sort of has this sensation. I spoke about this in another video, might have even been the Angelina Jordan one, where you can sort of fake the sound of singing with in a space with reverb and stuff like that by using vocal compression and sort of elongating S sounds and making your voice sound a little bit more lush in a dry sound with a dry microphone. You know, you can sort of play around with sort of pushing to make it sound like there's a compressor there, and you throw a valve mic and you can add a little bit more airiness, which is, she's clearly doing that to give that sort of, evoking that sort of classic vinyl record sound where you have that sort of hiss all the way through. And, you know, the breathiness of her sound sort of lends itself to that. It sounds like what old jazz records sounded like. And you hear that too, like with brass instruments. If you listen really closely, you can hear the air coming through trumpets, saxophones and things like that as well. That sounds like breath, you know. So that's always ever present in jazz recordings and stuff. Like you listen to Miles Davis, you'll hear it all the time, things like that. But if you listen, I'm trying to find, it's more when she brings it up in her dynamics a little bit. So again, there's that lazy sort of drop into those notes.
You're so very special. Yeah, I wish I was special, but I'm a creep.
The raspiness. So good. There's a lot of R sounds come through. So that, she's like, rather than belting it out like a big, she's controlling it into this sort of, excuse my voice, I'm not her, right? But she's compressing the note down and keeping it sort of within the back of her palate, and it sort of feels like squished, but with a lot of body and resonance still. And to me, that's always sort of sounded like how sometimes a big note, when you have like a lot of reverb behind it, it can sound like it's sort of like it distorts out into just noise in a really pleasant sounding way. She's sort of emulating that by using vocal compression, and that just essentially means controlling the airflow to sort of squeeze the note in through your anatomy, rather than opening everything up and letting the resonance and the cavity of your voice project everything. It's sort of pulling the note back a little bit into you and creating a more high pressure sound that sort of sounds a little bit more what's the word, a little bit more controlled, I guess, but just typically just it sort of allows you to control the dynamics a little bit better, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain, really. So that's more of a belt, but she's still compressing that little. So the difference there, opens up, the cavity opens, projects out. She still does it. There's still some compression there. She's not like just operatically letting those notes ring. She's still kind of got that sort of sassiness to it, a little bit of the breathiness, the ha, I love how the diction, just the pronunciation just falls away into laziness. She's not bad, she's just drawn that way, if you know what I'm talking about. And how bold is that key change, right? Let's skip ahead. Oh, this is beautiful too. Wow. Again, dynamics on the piano, so beautiful.
I wish I was special, but I'm a creep.
Oh.
I said it, I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here?
It's quite low. Oh, that transition. For those of you who aren't musically inclined, there was a really beautiful key change there. That's why the funny thing, why I say that that's a bold and a brave choice, is having a vocalist shift into a different key without musical backing is a little bit scary, because first of all, she's got to nail the note without any sort of reference point other than memory, right? Which is, for a professional singer, it's not that hard. However, to the average listener, particularly the first time you're hearing it, she sounds like she's just going off on a tangent and singing the wrong note until the band comes in and supports her, right? And you can hear that here. Ugh. And again, just coming in.
What the hell am I doing here?
Yeah. So, sorry, my ears aren't super great with pitch, but yeah. So that's I'm a creep. Yeah. So it's a semitone shift, yeah. But see, even now, she's out there belting and everything. The band is still playing dynamically pretty low, like. And you know that's a sign of a band that has done a lot of gigs, a lot of work, a lot of training, because you know everybody wants to play loud and bright and everything like that. And particularly with brass instruments, all of the dynamic range comes from your breath control, and you know, you can play stringed instruments pretty quietly just by plucking a little softer. And piano, you know, you might be like quiet dynamics as opposed to. That's what I mean when I say dynamics. If you're not a musical person. It typically just means like the dynamic shift between the softest sort of notes and then to like, you know, something a bit more bombastic like, you know, so, you know, and vocally you can have something as simple as like really quiet to you got big dynamic shifts, right? And it might seem simple, but feeling out where to throttle up and hit the gas is something that has everything to do with experience and feel and understanding the subject matter and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of on its face value, it's easy to sort of to play with that sort of stuff, but it's difficult to really nail. You know what I mean? It's something that you just have to fundamentally understand. From practice and doing. And that's why I think that, you know, these guys, obviously they wouldn't be here if they weren't very experienced musicians, but to me, that's indicative of that. They're working with a vocalist who probably doesn't have any kind of foldback amplification because you'd hear it, right? It doesn't look like they're wearing in-ear monitors. So I guess that they probably, you know, she's singing in front of the band with no foldback, no way of hearing herself. So the band, knowing that, are experienced and professional enough to, even when they're playing loud, still keep their dynamics underneath her voice so she can hear and we can hear her, and they're not allowing their parts to sort of take control. They're sort of self-mixing themselves, they're self-monitoring, you know, and that's just brilliant. Look, at the end of the day, thank you so much for recommending this one. Anything else by these guys would be really interesting. I've heard the name Postmodern Jukebox. I associated them with some big clown guy. So I'm sure that that's someone else who's maybe guested with them or whatever, and maybe some you can point me in that direction too. But either way, look, these guys, wow, this whole thing, this collaboration, it was absolutely stunning. And if there's anything else like this that I should check out, because I'll probably do a deep dive, but I'd rather hear from you guys what I should check out first, so that I can at least make a reaction and share it with you guys. So let me know in the comments what you think. This was really exciting. I'm stoked. Thank you very much for recommending it again. If you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free just to buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Like, share, follow, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And certainly hit me up in the comments with more recommendations along this sort of tangent, because this is really awesome for me. This was a great journey. So thanks again, guys. And, you know, stay primal. I'll catch you in the next one.